It's a people, it's a community, it's a life, it's a heart, it's a spirit.
Question: the heck would you want a picture of a tattoo of $1,000 on your penis for?
What makes this book so relevant, even though it was written over 100 years ago, is that it's about terrorism.
The work, sex, cars, bars, broads.
And with children, it's building on what they have. They have great imagination.
Dementia is not a diagnosis. It's a set of symptoms.
And he kept explaining to me that I wasn't gay. You cannot be gay. You just cannot.
The main thing is to be open and honest and be, true to yourself.
Hi, and welcome to Talking About. We've got a special live program tonight, and my guest is Arnie Razumny of Samaratin Village. We're going to be discussing addiction and recovery. Well, I just said of Samaratin Village. Briefly, what is Samaratin Village, and what exactly is your role?
Samaratin Village is a substance abuse treatment program that's been around for approximately 45 years. We started out as a storefront in Astoria and now have facilities throughout New York, every borough excluding Staten Island. We have a large facility in upstate New York in Ellenville. And we provide substance abuse treatment to approximately 800 residential through 800 residential beds and about another 400 outpatient slots. My role is currently I'm the Assistant Vice President of Development. Prior to that, I worked for about 10 years in the admissions department. But I'm very proud of the fact that even before my employment here, I was a client at Samaratin Village.
Okay, just like Cy Sperling.
Cy
Not just the vice president, also a client.
Right. I don't know why we had to go to the hair joke, but I'm sure you'll
more of a
understand.
side joke. Yeah.
Yes, I was not only a client, but now am the vice president. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, how difficult is it for you to come out and say that on television?
It's an interesting question. Part of my mission is to bring a face to addiction. Many of us are aware of the high-profile celebrities that have had substance abuse problems, the Robert Downeys, the Darryl Strawberries, most recently Rush Limbaugh.
And Britney's probably headed toward...
Yeah, really. Right, with her marriage and divorce, I would imagine. Those people are the ones that the public sees, and for a moment or two it brings a spotlight to addiction and recovery. I like to think that by being an executive manager in a large organization and openly declaring the fact that I'm in recovery might help break the stigma of addiction and give people pause to think about what recovery looks like.
Do you think that there's still as much of a stigma as there used to be?
Yeah, I really do. I think that the public has a general perception of what addicts are. Some of them are accurate. They are individuals with their lives that are out of control. I think what the public doesn't realize is how many people are actually in recovery now. Because unless you declare yourself in recovery, no one will know. So it's hard to get the public on board with the fact that treatment works, recovery is an ongoing process, and that the people in the cubicle next to you may be in recovery, your chairman of the board may be in recovery, your auto mechanic may be in recovery, unless they declare it. I think if people began to step out of that darkness as recovering people and into the light, it would go a long way from changing the public perception and then moving the political perception of what recovery and treatment is.
What can be done besides just speaking out, or is it just that simple?
I think I actually believe that if you're going to affect a cultural change and change stereotypes, it is about having the person not involved in that kind of process begin to accept people. And the only way you do that is when you become comfortable around them. And when you begin to change your view or what the stereotypes are in your head. In my role as the person in charge of development, which is ostensibly a fundraising arm through the Samaritan Foundation, I have to run in circles where there are people that have no affiliation with addiction whatsoever. people who own their own companies, people in the private sector. And invariably, I often introduce myself just the way I did with you tonight, which is to explain my corporate role. And then once I explain the mission of Samaritan and what we do and how we do it, I very often let people know that I am sitting in front of them as a result of the work of Samaritan. More often than not, they're quite taken aback.
The jaw hits the floor?
Jaw hits the floor. They go, no, really, you? I can't believe it. What happened? And I think it's because they don't expect, when they meet me, they don't expect that kind of story. I'm not unique, though. I mean, that's the message when I tell them, I'm not unique. Samaritan has a number of graduates that are in very powerful and high-profile positions. Being on your show once before, we had 2 of our graduates who were quite open and honest to talk about what they do. One of them has gone on to an information technology position in a very large publishing house. Another one is also working at a large accounting firm now. And they're quite proud, and they have been embraced as recovering people with no kind of stigma attached, no kind of prejudice in their ability to rise in their workplace. What I'd like to do is get people to really open up their hearts and their minds and take a chance on somebody who's in recovery. If you own a company and someone's going to come to you, through Samaratin Village, or you want to be able to hire someone and give them a second chance and contact Samaratin Village, be open-minded. These can be the most grateful employees you will ever get and become very loyal and very proud of who they are and put a great face to your organization.
Right. I mean, I know a lot of people who just come out and say all the time, people can't change. People can't change. I mean, broken record.
Yeah.
I mean, you are obviously living proof that people can change.
Absolutely. My personal story, not to bore everybody out there, is I had a 20-year heroin addiction. I really did a lot of damage, obviously, to my body, to my family, to friends, to careers, to marriages. That's a lot of damage to undo. But I also came to Samaratin Village, gained great insight into myself, had my esteem built back up, and was able to move from treatment into a job at Bellevue Hospital. They took a chance with me. Someone else in recovery extended a hand. And from there, I came back to Samaritan to work and have risen through the ranks. I'm not unique, though. Far from it. I have many friends who are in other fields. There's one person in mind that I'm not going to mention his name, is a Samaritan graduate who went on to develop his own IT company. He now is the president of an organization that has an entire floor in a building on Madison Avenue, and takes meetings and does all these, and does lunch and does all these things that the so-called straight world does. And unless he self-discloses, which he has to people, no one would know he's a recovering person. But because he self-discloses, he puts another face and chips away at that stigma people have and that stereotype people have on addicts and the potential for change in recovery.
Is there a right time to quote-unquote come out?
I think everyone needs to have some insight into that for themselves. Certainly, as with other...
and do you say, hi, I'm an addict?
No, yeah. I think you need to pick your shot. I think, and just as there were stigmas attached to, homosexuality and other affiliations, if you will, you have to pick your shots, and you have to understand when it is the right time for you to do that. No one should force you to do it. I certainly wouldn't break anyone's anonymity for the simple fact that people do have those prejudices.
Preconceived notions.
Preconceived notions and prejudices. For me, I think no matter what field I would be in, I'd be proud of who I was. I'm not proud of who I was, but I'm certainly happy to be where I'm at today. And I'm quite open and honest about talking about who I was before.
Okay, and we do have a caller. We have our first caller, Louis. Louis, whenever you're ready, tell us your question or comment.
Yes, it's very important when I watch it in TV. I'm an ex-addict. I'm clean for 35 years.
Congratulations.
Yes, and I think, and that's the way I feel. And in the United States, I'm the only one. That's the way I feel. I don't know. Maybe somebody else. They unclean for 35 years because I've been looking for a partner that I could relate, about anything. But it's hard to find somebody out there who is clean, And the only people that you could find that is clean, there's people that still working for the program or still communicating with the program. You see, when I graduated from the program that I used to be for, I was there for almost 7 years. I'm from the old time. I started using drugs 1969, and I stopped using drugs 1972. And I got 3 OD. I died 3 times. And maybe because God need me to help others. That's the reason why I'm here. And I went through so much in life that I would recommend to other people who want to try drugs not to do it, because I'm clean for 35 years and I still going through changes. I still going through changes even though I don't use that cocaine, heroin, and alcohol. And I still going through the same changes because you never well. Your mind still working and function because you always going to find some negative people out there. Always. And sometimes the person that you get close is the one who want to put you down. But what I did, I got so paranoid that I'm being clean for 35 years. Can I tell you the truth? By myself. I did it all by myself because every time I was trying to look for help, negative person. I go to this one, negative. And then what I did to survive, I took this guy from the street that he was on drugs, and what I did, I helped him with all my knowledge that I know. And what I do now, when I need help, I go to him. And what I did, I use that man. I put all my therapy in that person because he used to be in drugs. Now he's clean for 19 years. That kid. You know,
there are organizations like Narcotics Anonymous and Alcoholics Anonymous where you can go and share your experiences and meet other people that have a similar desire to stay clean in spite of all the obstacles that come up from living a clean life, which is life on life's terms. You may want to check that out and go there just to begin to socialize with other people that have some clean time under their belt and are living life on life's terms.
Very, and you look very. I was watching you on TV, and you look very interesting.
Thank you.
Yeah, you look like you have some type of energy.
Thank you.
Could help. Yeah, if I'm clean for 35 years, I know any move that you could make on TV, I know you clean and I know you dirty. You very clean.
Thank you, my friend.
You clean
it's
90.
A natural high.
You clean 100%.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And I hope God continue helping you. And in the near future, I see you, very very top. In very good position because you deserve a very good position.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Appreciate it very much. Thank you.
There'll be a website and a phone number at the end of the show. And remember, you said you're alone. You are not alone.
No, because it's what I did. I used somebody, and with all my knowledge, that guy absorbed all my therapy. And what I did, I using that guy. Everything that I know, I teach him, and then when I need help, I go to him, and everything that I teach him, he throw it back to me.
That's the way Narcotics Anonymous works, and I think you'd be a valuable person to go there. You have a lot of experience. Obviously, if you connected with someone else who had a problem and they listened and were able to change, I think you ought to be able to go there and share that with some people who are similar-minded to you.
Oh, yeah.
So, please find a Narcotics Anonymous meeting where you are and just walk in and introduce yourself and say your name is Louis, and you'll have a bunch of friends reaching out to you.
Okay, that'll be
Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you very much for your help.
Okay.
Thank you for calling, Louis.
Thank you.
And you can call in as well. We are live, and our phone number is 718-460-9802. And I touched on with Louis the alone word.
Yeah.
Is that a problem that a lot of people feel before they get into?
Well, the idea of addiction, there's a certain amount of feeling unique, which is one of the lies that is fed to you through the disease. No one understands me. Nobody knows who I am. I can't do what that person did. I can't stop. It's been my experience, and I have 15 years clean. It's been my experience that I am not unique. Whether it's a difference in the drugs, my upbringing, my cultural background, my educational background, whatever the differences may be, there is some thread that runs between all addicts, especially those seeking recovery. That's the thread of a desire to stop using, change your life from being unmanageable to productive, and the need and the desire for support from one another. In that respect, no addict is truly unique. The idea is to find one another, support one another, and help each other change. It's not easy. It's a very difficult process, but it's certainly not impossible. Since the inception of AA back in the 50s and Narcotics Anonymous in the 60s, thousands of people have moved on and changed their lives. Samaratin Village has been around for 45 years. Thousands of people have changed their lives through the interaction of therapeutic communities and other treatment providers. If there's one thing I've seen through the years in working in the admissions department, you don't have to try and do this alone. There is a whole host of organizations and treatment providers that are there to show you that and help you that. All you need to do is call.
Is it that simple? I mean, how do people generally find you? I mean, they just bottoming out and
usually people find us. There are a number of ways people find Samaritan. One of them is word of mouth through recovering people. Another one is Yellow Pages, website, fellowship at Narcotics Anonymous meetings, other treatment providers, maybe short-term detoxes, short-term rehabs, will tell people that you need a longer stay in treatment, or this is a continuum of treatment. Our admissions department number for information is 718-657-6195. That's our admissions department number. What will happen when you call there is you will be set up with an interview to come in and see us so that we can see if we have the services you need. Very often, just that connection allows an addict who is desperate, hopeless, and sees no future, just the knowledge that they can come in and speak to somebody is enough to give them the hope to move forward in the recovery process. I encourage anybody who either knows someone who is devastated by the disease of addiction, or if you yourself are watching this, to pick up the phone and call and make sure that you are persistent and consistent. Chase your recovery as if you chase your drugs. And every addict knows what I'm talking about out there.
Okay, and we do have another caller. We have Jackie on the line. Jackie, whenever you're ready, say hello.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, Jackie.
Hi. I'm from Long Island. I'm 19 years old, and I began using about a year ago, and I've been clean on and off for like 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
But I was wondering, I started using cocaine. Actually, I had an eating disorder, and I actually started using cocaine because it helped me to not eat.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize I was addicted until I started, stealing money from my family and, going out till all hours of the night. And I realized, every day I was using, and I could not stop. And basically, after I went to school this year, I was living with my boyfriend, and he basically offered me an ultimatum, either stop using or that's it, it's over. And we were pretty serious. I'm still with him now. And basically he's the only thing that's keeping me clean because I love him so much and everything. And I was actually wondering, do you have any advice for me? Because I've been trying really hard, but it just seems every time I go home from school, it just seems the feeling is overwhelming to continue using. And I've cut all ties with like everybody that I knew that I was using it with, and I didn't contact anybody for a really long time. I was basically cut off from everybody, even my friends who like tried to keep me clean. And I was just wondering, basically, if you have any advice for somebody like me who's trying to stay clean but is having like a problem with it.
Yeah, I definitely. First of all, I admire your insight into how you got addicted and the fact that you obviously have a problem and you want to do something with it. I would recommend a couple of things. First of all, I don't know if you're in any type of therapy at the moment, but certainly if you're able to, either through parents' medical or your own, whatever, I would get into therapy, individual therapy. It would allow you an hour of time, one-on-one, for yourself, by yourself, with a therapist to explore some of the issues that may have led you to eating disorders and abusing cocaine. That's the first thing I would do. In addition to that, I would definitely investigate going to support groups, 12-step support groups, Narcotics Anonymous. There are anonymous programs for just about everything now, including Overeaters Anonymous and people with eating disorders. But I would go to Narcotics Anonymous. I would share that struggle you're having in staying clean, and you will find overwhelming support from the women in those rooms. In addition to that, you might want to explore going to outpatient treatment services, where there would be group counseling. Samaritan has outpatient services. If you'd like to jot down the number, I can give you that number.
Okay, sure.
The number is 718-206-1990. Those are our outpatient service offices. I would suggest you give them a call. But really, I think the other two options as well would be part of a really strong foundation in getting you the help that you need. There is absolutely no reason for you to struggle like this alone. None. Those are the three separate pieces of advice I would give you.
Okay.
And continue undeterred.
Right.
You mentioned that you cut people loose who weren't good for you.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, I admire that. You know, to do that without the benefit of either therapy or Narcotics Anonymous or other support groups shows a great desire to stop and change your life.
Right. The whole thing was that, like, this is like over the summer it became like a really big problem.
Yeah.
And I went to school. I went to college for my fall semester, and not only was it hard for me to get it, but it was also like I found out that at that point it was taking over because like I wouldn't go to class, I wouldn't do my work, I wouldn't do anything, and like it was overwhelming. So I realized like I'm going to screw up everything if I keep doing this, so I just cut it out completely, like cold turkey by myself. Basically, I did it with my boyfriend. Like I went through a lot of withdrawal. He helped me through everything. He's been the most supportive person I've ever met, and I really I attribute a lot of that to him. Also, like I guess to me, I mean, I don't know.
Without a doubt. I mean, you're obviously, blessed with some insight and a will to live that lets you do some really amazing things, and you need to hear that from someone who struggled for 20 years with this. What you did is amazing, and you need to continue on this path, but I think you've got enough brains to realize you can't continue to do this fight alone, nor should you have to. So I would get on the phone tomorrow, find yourself a therapist in your area, pick one that you have a connection with. Don't just go to the first guy or woman, and move forward from there. And call the Narcotics Anonymous hotline and get to a meeting.
Okay.
All you have to do is say, "Hi, I'm Jackie, and I'm struggling to stay clean," and you'll find the women there very supportive.
Okay.
Okay?
All right, thank you very much.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank you for calling.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Do you find Jackie's story?
Yeah, Jackie's story is again, not unique. I mean, especially for women. I've heard many stories about women who have eating disorders that lead them to drugs to kind of help them with their anorexia or bulimia or whatever the eating disorder might be. and they wind up addicted to those substances. The good news is that all of these things are treatable.
Right.
All of this is treatable. If you flash back X number of years, there was no hope. I mean, you know, going back to the 50s, an addict was an addict was an addict, period, until you either died or were institutionalized.
If there's no other message tonight, there is hope and there is help.
Without a doubt. I sit here in the light of recovery and declaring my recovery so that people will know there is hope for anyone.
There'll be a toll-free number up during the closing credits, or there is more information on our website, which is www.talkingabout.info, I-N-F-O, or you can write to us at Box 20713, Floral Park, New York, 11002, and I answer everything. So with that, I thank you for joining me. It's been a great hour. We got a lot of good information out there, and I hope you'll come back sometime soon.
I would be happy to, and thank you for having me, and thank you for allowing me to talk to the people out there.
Thanks again. I'm Jon Griffith. You've been watching Talking About, and I will see you next time.
Welcome to Ask Dr. Cynthia. Today we're hearing from Tom, who writes, "My friends keep trying to set me up on dates. I am perfectly happy with being single. My friends don't seem to understand this, and they act as if there's something wrong with that. Is there?" Well, Tom, actually there's a big difference between feeling lonely and being alone. If you're comfortable not having any relationships and you don't want to be set up on dates, you should tell your friends to mind their own business. But it sounds like they're really concerned about you because you may be lonely. And if that's the case, then you're avoiding relationships because you're afraid of rejection or you're insecure, then I recommend seeing a counselor to talk about that. If you'd like to send any questions to me, you're more than welcome to email me at AskDrCynthia@talkingabout.info or write to the address on your screen.